Hello, everyone. Welcome to this new episode of the AIAF Podcast. My name is Anna Smirnova, and I'm together with my co-host, Christophe Bertrand. Christophe, how are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you, Anna.
We have a very special guest today and a very special topic. But before going to the introduction of our very honorable guest, we first need to remind you to follow the AIAF on all the social media platforms. And another reminder is that AIAF is going to host a congress in Miami on the 6th and on the 7th of November. So all those who have not yet joined this event, we welcome you to do so and to register as soon as you can do so. So, having said that, our special guest, Juan De Dios Crespo Perez. Juan, very welcome here. You're the president of all these organizations, so you're behind all the inspiration we have for today and for all the episodes in the future.
Thank you very much, Anna and Christophe. I'm very proud to be here. I'm just 1 year president of AIAF, so I can get all and every of the things that you have done. It's clear that my predecessor, Patricia, was the one launching this podcast, and I'm here only to follow the steps.
I took a pause just because I was a little bit lost how to introduce you, because I'm pretty sure all the listeners already know you perfectly well. But just a few words about yourself, not only being the president of the AIAF. Well, you were my professor, and this is something that I really appreciate for many years already. Nowadays, everybody knows you as one of the most prominent sports lawyers in the world. Partner of Ruiz Huerta Crespo in Valencia. And Juan, can you share with us, how did you dedicate yourself to sport? What is the intersection of your passion to sport and passion to law, probably?
I mean, I need a couple of days for that. But anyway, I will try to stick on your precious time of the followers of this AIAF podcast. I always been very much involved in sport. When I was 6 years old, I played rugby. I was living in France at that time. After rugby, I started judo, and then karate, and then ping pong, and then football, and then swimming, and then basketball, and handball, all registered as in the federation. But as you know, I was not good enough, or I was, a badass, and I need to move a lot. So my mom was a bit crazy about doing so much sport. Then, when I was 18, and my dad died when I was 16, so I had to work 8 to 5, and then what else could I do? I wanted to be let's say, not a lawyer at the beginning. I wanted to be a journalist. Exactly, a journalist in the war. You know, those that's going to one way or another, specialist in a war. And but it was not easy. Why? Because in Valencia, my hometown, there were no public school of journalism. There was only a private one, and so I have to go to Madrid. So I said, okay, I need to stay in Valencia for my mom and my siblings that were also here, and what to do. So the most similar to the journalism is the law. You speak, you talk, you write. So I said, okay, why not? And then it became my passion after starting. So this was the very beginning of my career there. And I was also playing, this is my highest level of sport. I was playing in the second division of futsal, football indoor at that time, at futsal is called. And I was 19, 20 in my second year or something like that of the law school. And I was playing, and my coach was the president or vice president of the Valencian Federation, so the local federation, regional federation of futsal. And he said, Juan, we need a lawyer here to take care of the disciplinary cases, because everyone is unhappy with the decision. So even if you were winning, you didn't know how you are won, etc. So what I said, okay, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just in the second year, I think, or third year, I don't remember exactly. So I said, okay, Juan, doesn't matter. You will be better than the previous one, because they were not even in the school law. So I started to do my work there, and fortunately, the people that were sanctioning, they were saying, now at least we know how it comes that I was sanctioned, and they were very much happy to have somebody who sanctioned them. I was still playing, of course, for sanctioning, and then I became a member of the board was 22 years old and until 30. So when it was 1990, I was working there. Of course, as I said to all my students, unpaid, you have to start somewhere. And I was there for those more or less 8-9 years. And in the meantime, I was doing some other cases on futsal too, paid those one, and football and chess. One of my first cases was a chess contract with a chess coach to a chess student, 12 years old. And the father came and said, hey, I need to have this control. And when you see that chess is still a game in which you have a lot of money involved, so that's what my starting. And then when Valencia knocked my door, and I had to say yes to Valencia, my club, I started to be a external lawyer of Valencia, 92, 93, and then the rest is, as I said, history.
Wow. Perfect, not only sports lawyer, but international sports lawyer, which is perfect for our topic of the day, because the topic of the day is an international case that happened a few months ago, a few years and a few months ago, because it's old case. And maybe could you tell us a little bit more about the Diarra case, which is the subject of the day?
Okay, so I don't want to disclose anything because we're going to have one of those round table in Miami. Okay, so just a bit, and then they have to bite and to come to the. Okay, all right, I'll do that. So first of all, the Diarra case is not a win for football players. They say that they are won. For me, it's a huge mistake. Huge mistake. I think that the lawyers were brilliant, of course. They're brilliant, and they did what they had to do to win the case. But did they win the case for the football players in general or not? Well, I'm not sure about that. And I will deliver a bit more during the AIAF Congress in Miami. But let's say that what was asked there, what was requested by our good friends, the lawyers of Jean-Luc Dupont and Martin Issel. First of all, they said the ITC should be given every time a player is dismissed or is ending his contract with or without just cause. But this is something that it was not needed. The first huge case I had on an ITC issue was the case of Bueno Rodriguez in 2004, let's say the bossman of South America. And even though not FIFA itself, I think it was more the president, Blatter, and the vice president, Mr. Grondona, because it was going to be a real mess for South American football. They tried to impede to have an ITC. So I appealed that and we won. And after that, I never seen any time any player to have not been given the ITC, provisional ITC. So this request from Diarra was, in my opinion, just something that they wanted to just add to the cooking, but no need at all. The second one was something that I was asking for years, I might say for decades, because the regulation is 2001. The new regulation, which is now old because it has been changed, like I say, 12 times. But on the 1st of March 2001, there was a new regulation in which they said that they changed a lot of things, but one of the Article 17, the new club of a player will be responsible for the payment of solidarity payment of any indemnification that is going to be decided by FIFA or by CAS or one after the other. I always told everyone that this shouldn't be that. I had a case in 2005 with the Roma Mexes Auxerre, in which I clearly said, and we won partially, we had only one transfer window sanction. But what I said is, look, the new club is not responsible. You have to prove that it's responsible. And this has been changing step by step. And the last case I had 2 years ago with Marseille and Watford, we won. And we were the new club, but we were not sanctioned, only economically, but not sportingly. But it was the first step. The second step is that we are not, why we are going to pay if we are in a new club, if we are not force or induce the player to end the contract. And he could have ended the contract with a just cause, like the case of Diarra, by the way. Diarra, don't forget that, ended his contract without just cause. And this is something that people have forgotten. With a just cause in 1, 2, and 3 different instances. So he's lost. So what is claiming now? The third point, indemnification, compensation. Why me, Diarra, has to pay so much money? I think it was 11 million. And why the new club has to pay that? So just coming back to the second point, the new club. FIFA has in mind, and I think that is clear because they have suspended Article 17 at that point, that the new club is not going to be responsible anymore. Or it will be responsible if it's proven that it's induced the player, which is the point from the very beginning. Why should I pay if I'm not responsible for the induction of or the end of the contract? And this drives us to the third point, the indemnification, the compensation to pay. If the club is not anymore the one responsible, who's going to pay? Or the club, if it's finally responsible, or the player himself? And that's where the key issue, the crucial issue is. Diarra said that with 11 million, can't pay that. It's impossible. And any club was reluctant to pay that. On the side, I have something to say about the tricky things about going to Charleroi and so on, but this is a keep from today, and I'll let it on the Congress because I think it's interesting to see how lawyers we tend to prepare things or to pre-prepare things to have a decision in our favor if, of course, it's in our favor. So the third point is the indemnification. When I had a meeting in AFE is a national football, Spanish football player, and I was with one of the vice presidents of FIFPro at that time, Claude, and the guy said, Juan, is going to be the remainder of the contract. That is clear, remainder of the contract. Okay, that's fine. If you have 1 year contract, if you are only 100,000 salary, that's fine. But if you have 2 years contract and you have 30 million per year, it's 60 million, so much more than the 11 million of Diarra. So it's not clear. And he said, oh, yes, we have to adjust that. So it's not crystal clear as FIFPro was willing to have. Remaining of the contract. The remaining of the contract can be so different, so not possible. So this crucial point is the key issue. And we don't know what FIFA decided, because they have already decided what I've been told by FIFA, that they already decided that already have an agreement with FIFPro. And where are we going to be led by this agreement? That we don't know. Remaining of the contract, I don't think so. Maybe remaining of contract minus something, some calculation, some mathematical calculation of reducing sometimes and enhancing sometimes. Because if you end your contract with a just cause and you only have 100,000 euro per year, maybe you're doing that because you know that you are going to pay only 100,000 and then you're going to be free. So try to be adjusted. And vice versa. If you have 3 years or 2 years contract and you have 30 million per year, should you pay 60 million? Don't think so. So it'll be reduced also with something. I don't know exactly, but it's my guess that it's going to be a mix of that, a cocktail of this. Remaining, minus, or enhancing. So we see that. And those that are going to come to the Congress will have an answer, because I think that at that time we have an answer. And that is roughly Diarra case. I don't want to go in too much into this because we have the Congress, but roughly you have my opinion, you have what they have done, what is wrong to have been done or not, and now what is going to be. I think that it was a mistake. They should have just sat down and said, okay, we have to do this with our own cooperation. But this has put all of us in jeopardy now, because I think that even if FIFA and FIFPro have agreed in somehow in a new Article 17, this is going to open doors in national legislation, because in Spain, for instance, we have the annual contract by paying an amount. Is 222 million too much? When we did the transfer so-called transfer of Neymar, but this is Spanish law. You have to pay if you want to have the player. This is against? No, because right now, FIFA said in the Article 17, one of the points, I think is number 2, paragraph 2, that the parties can reach an agreement on what amount will be. That it could be not only the payment of a clause, it could be also an agreement on how much it will be paid as a compensation. So I think that right now, the issue will be how we, lawyers, we sit down and we negotiate with the agents, with the club, and with the players to have a real amount already decided. Could be a legal one as a Spain, or could be just a negotiation. But I think that it's much better. It will be much better than to go to FIFA and CAS, because we will have problems. Because if it's what I think it is, that is going to be remainder of contract with some, there's something that people are, of course, I'm older enough to remember that, but UEFA had something on the 1996, 97, 98. They had a regulation in which they said how much you have to pay for training compensation. And you said, training compensation is FIFA. No, but UEFA had one. And I had a case in which I was with Valencia and Vlahovic and Parma. And we changed everything. We changed also that was not too much, into the press, because at that time I was not willing to have those. Islam did not exist, so I was just, a low profile. But we changed regulation because of that. And UEFA has to terminate with that regulation. It has the age of the player plus the contract, the remaining of the contract. It was a sort of Article 17 plus something else. So I don't know, maybe it will be that or not, but we have faced all and every possibilities already. UEFA has done that. FIFA has done that with what we know about, the Webster case, the Ortega case, the Mexes case, the Banzolam case, the Sancti case. We know all that. And all of them were different. So are we going to have the same? I think so. It's not going to be so mathematical. I think that we're going to have problems. So my point is that we lawyers, we will have the hand on this, the grip on this, and we will have the possibility to prepare in the contract what will be the termination clause, if it is just cause, if it is without just cause, and of course, we have to match what the player has to pay and the club has to pay. We can't just do as it is done now, unless is a clause, a legal clause, as in the Spanish law, which is not for the club, it's for the player. But if it's in a contract, yes, I think that we can manage to have a clause will be helpful for avoiding problems. For us, it's not a problem because we are lawyers, so it would be much better to have much more cases but I rather prefer to have a clear understanding of regulation. Well, we'll see. In a month or two, we'll see that.
Speaking about in a month or two, Juan, we've just made a teaser for those who are going to participate in the event in November. But where are we now? In which kind of limbo nowadays we're faced? What do you think about the interim regulations and the way out of all this situation that FIFA introduced last year? What do you think about this temporary Article 17?
We are trying, all of us, to avoid that. Because it's a limbo, and Article 17 is there, not to be used. So the last case I had not the last case, but the last case on this, it was the case of Tete. A player was playing in Ukraine, in Shakhtar Donetsk, and using the Annex 7 of FIFA regulation, he came to Galatasaray. And one of the key points was Article 17. Are we responsible for him, breach or not? He said that he used Annex 7 and he did it in the right way. Shakhtar said he did not do that in the right way, and we were the waiting and seeing club there. And my point was to use Article 17, but we reached an agreement at the very moment of the hearing. So we don't have. And why? Because we are all afraid of this. I think that we were all clever enough to understand that it was not. I have right now 3 or 4 pending cases in which I see that they are not willing to decide because they're pending to have a FIFA and FIFPro and all the stakeholders agreement. and they are a bit arbitrators and also FIFA Article 17, which is the new club or the following club, and it's a limbo, as you said, but it's limbo that everyone is avoiding, either by waiting and seeing the decision are there, waiting and seeing, or by agreeing, which is what I did in the last case, and I did also in previous one, because you just put your client and the other party in front. You say, look at that, could be anything, because we are in limbo. So Article 17 doesn't exist right now for the compensation. So I love limbo because it gives you the possibility to have some other mental, creation. You have to be creative when you're a lawyer. But mostly I try to right now to settle, and in order to avoid putting the FIFA or the arbitrators in a bad position to say this is illegal, this is legal. So right now, limbo, my wish for everyone is to try to settle before a decision is taken, because that decision will be a due decision, but won't be a decision for everyone, just for that case. Ergowness is not the case in this particular Article 17. So I would say to my clients and to anyone who is listening to me, wait and see. It's still a month and a half to wait.
And Juan, maybe could you, because you're totally right on the possible consequences, implication of the Diarra cases on the FIFA RSTP, but what are your thoughts also on a different aspect on the Diarra case consequences as legal consequences on maybe the FIFA procedure and the CAS ruling? Because if we recall correctly, the FIFA sentenced Diarra for more than 10 million euros. The CAS confirmed. But even though the CAS as an arbitration case and decision was final, Diarra was able to challenge this decision, and the European Court of Justice said by means and by object they violated the European Treaty. So what are your views? And I know there's pros and cons for that. So what are your views on the legal implication consequences on the Diarra case regarding the FIFA legal system and the CAS legal system?
Not Diarra case only, is a sovereign case too that has opened the door for a review of cases before the national courts, which is one of the points that we have to discuss also in our Congress. We are very much in the daily basis, because if an Argentinian player is playing in Portugal and he had a decision against him and he's playing Portugal, but then he is going back to his hometown, to Buenos Aires, he has no right to go, in my opinion, to Portugal to go against the club, or in Switzerland to go against Switzerland, because Switzerland is not part of the European Union. So, and on the contrary, if a French player having some case in, Germany, for example, Belgium, and is not happy with the result, he can go to a national court to review, of course, on the basis of European law, to review that award or the decision. So it's going to be now 2 different or even 3 different cases in FIFA and CAS. Those that are only outside European Union, those that have European Union party and non-European party, and those that only European Union party. So in the Diarra case and in the Serran case, I think that is going to be only for EU parties. What's going to happen with the non-EU parties is clear that they have no chance to come back to their national country and judges and courts. And for those that are one party from European Union and one party not from European Union, it will depend. If you are leaving European Union, you are Argentine player, you have the problem with a Portuguese player, but you're not coming back to Argentina, you are coming to Spain, for instance. Has he the right to go to Spanish court where he's living to try to have a new case open because of what happened in CAS before? I don't know, because he's a citizen. He's not a citizen of European Union, but he's living in European Union, but he's not where he was living when the issue occurred. So we have a very interesting now future on this? Me, right now, I'm crossing fingers. I didn't say that at the beginning, but I might have a case in which this is going to happen with a player in some country coming to some country in Spain, and with the decision, and maybe I have to use the Spanish court for that. It's going to be fantastic for lawyers, not easy for FIFA, and I don't see. I think that FIFA should just had like they have now with the minors. A minor is a minor, but if you are European Union, you are another minor, and then you have other exceptions. So it might be that we're going to have 1, 2, and 3 different Article 17 and Constitution Article 17, and accepting by FIFA that a cash award, because cash is in the statute of FIFA, a cash award that might change the cash and also the FIFA decision. Look, we are just following what the European countries say, so you can go to your own country and to try. In some cases, it's not, as I said, for Edgar Omnes and for every case. As you said, it's just for some specific cases. But it will be for them. And for others, no. And for others, maybe or not. So FIFA will have to move also on this. The Diarra Article 17 is not the only thing that to do. They might also change the statutes of FIFA on this. Look, we are part of the system. And what happened, the same as happening with the minors, what happened with the other countries? They will say, okay, we don't have the right to review that. We want to review that in Buenos Aires, in Caracas, or in Moscow. We want to review that too. Why are not we allowed to review that? If some player is against my club, which is a Venezuelan club, and a Spanish player, the Spanish player says, no, I'm going to Spain to review this cash award. And vice versa, it's impossible because they will be in Caracas. Or if is a Colombian player playing in Argentina. It's not fair, but it's not fair because European Union is not fair. Because European Union is not fair. You look at what happened with the minors. Could we open the door, and this is a very much opening the door, of players, a session of players, a session of clubs, national teams, or anyone who goes to European Union and say, look, we are bound by FIFA regulations, but we don't have the same rights. We are the players' union of Argentina, of Venezuela. I want to have a case brought in European Union, in Brussels, with the same DRI case, but we don't have any ground here. We don't live here, but we have FIFA that is making a difference between us and the other, even if it's not the aim of FIFA, is what they will do because of the Tribunal of Justice of European Union. So I think that it is going to be a nice decade.
To sum up, you've just answered the question which I had last on my list. Doesn't this situation create this sort of inequality in the football family? But I think you have just mentioned this, that those players who have links to EU to a certain extent do have better or maybe a higher level of legal protection against sports governing bodies such as FIFA or against their employers in case.
Yes, and that's why I'm saying that why not a session of football players of Argentina is coming to European Court to say, look, I am in another same position. But don't forget something. Sports law, sport justice must be quick. If it's not quick, justice in general is not quick, is not justice, but in sport it has to be quick. So if you have some Spanish player after being in Belgium or in Germany coming here and saying, look, I'm going to discuss about this cash award at my home. First instance in Spain, I don't know in France or in Venezuela or in Russia, but in Spain it's 1 year and a half. Appeal, another 1 year and a half, so 3 years. And in some cases, more than 600,000, you have the Supreme Court in Spain, so it would be 3 or 4 years more. So we are talking about 6 years more.
That's a lot for the sports reality.
Yeah. So European Court of Justice is there to protect, but sometimes they don't understand where we are really. And finally, before you ask another question, finally on this Diarra case, Diarra is suing FIFA for 65 million, I guess. Well, I would like to know why. I told you about the tricks to go to a small club in Belgium with an impossibility for the club to pay what Diarra was willing to have. And then he went to Marseille, my client. So I know the case. He went to Marseille and then they paid what he deserved. So 65 million, another trick. We'll see.
Juan, I don't have any more questions. You already gave us abundance of thoughts to consider, to take into account. Christophe, I rely on you for further questions.
I kept things for the Congress. I kept things for the Congress. So please, those people that have not registered yet, go to the Congress.
Oh, this is totally a private room. You can tell us everything. Don't worry.
Christophe is just trying to benefit from your presence with us.
I know. No, but it's interesting, your last comment, Juan, but at the same time, if I was trying to challenge your last comment on Diarra is requesting 65 million as damages, don't you think on the other side around, also that because he was sentenced for more than 10 million by FIFA, confirmed by CAS, don't you think it was maybe too much also, and that maybe let's say the FIFA system went too far into sentencing players, employee, to pay to the employer such compensation, which was maybe not in adequation anymore with the contract they had.
I was saying that FIFA and FIFPro has, it seems that we reached an agreement in which is not going to be that much anymore, but it's not linked to what he's asking. Go to the other party. How can you ask for 65 million when you have not lost, I say, maybe you have lost 3, 4, 5 million, no more than that, because he went to Marseille. He went to a big club. So maybe he has lost, let's say, even if you say 10 million, but not 65 million. So we have to see the both. I mean, as I'm working with players and clubs, I'm trying to be equanimous and to see, I always been that, to see where are the gaps, where are the holes. And in my opinion, he's asking too much. First, because he did not lose that, you have to look incessant. It's a Latin law. It's a clearly Roman law. No, he did not. And on the other side, you're right. And that's why the European Commission has decided that this is too much and you have to remove this. And that's why FIFA has just suspended Article 17. And that's why FIFA is right now, or just finished, or is right now finishing the agreement. Now, all of us are expecting what kind of decision or agreement this would be. Me just doing some legal fiction, legal science fiction is maybe remaining of the contract with some mitigations to some enhancing, as it was in the old regulation of UEFA in 1996, 1997. So if anyone wants to go there, you will see how it worked at that time. Not as a compensation, it was just a training compensation, but similar to that, I might say. So we are all waiting for that, because it will be, and as I said before too, it will be the beginning of a new era, but also the beginning for a new era for contracts. We will have to decide on the contract, and it will come to my old idea that only 2 clubs did, and 2 times only. One, it was Roma, and one was Shakhtar Donetsk. My older clients, not anymore, but older clients. I said, look, you have to set a clause which is not a fixed clause. It has to be like the Beatles, a long and winding road. So you change depending of the moment, depending of where you are, depending of what you have done, depending of you're injured. And I did it in 3 pages for one case of a Brazilian player going to Rome and for one Brazilian player going to Shakhtar. After that, the agents, everyone was so fed up, they said, no, it's too much to discuss. But I think that this is the way now to go. And to look at the contract and not just put an amount, but to put an amount that will be flexible. Not because you are flexible, because the objective criteria are going to be flexible. It was not going to be something that you decided, no, but it will be objective. You have signed for 5 years. Each year will be descending. but you are playing much matches than anyone. You are growing. You are in a surgery, or you're not able to. It will descend. You go to the first team, or you go to the second team. You go to the national team. You win championships. It's not going to be exactly a bonuses. It's going to be a long and winding road. Fortunately, I kept those 2 contracts, and I know how to do that. I think that my past, so 25 years ago, will be the future.
I think this is the best, not full stop, but the best point for continuation, which will be in Miami. Juan, thanks a lot. You've just provided us with a lot of information and a lot of points to think over. And the first and best advice for any lawyer would be to follow us in Miami, so that all what we have just pointed in very brief bullet points will be developed, and you see how much Juan can share more when we're all together in person in November. Thank you so much. This was really fruitful for all of us.
But you have to know that I'm crazy, so maybe I'm just saying some crazy things, and not legal one. But in my craziness, I think that I got some points. Thanks a lot. AIAF members, see you soon in Miami.
Don't forget to register for the Congress in Miami. Thanks a lot, all. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Anna.